In 5 days, I will be moving to South Korea and starting a new chapter in my life. And truth be told, I'm feeling nowhere near ready. Moving abroad is a lot of work, and there are many things to consider, especially the fact that I don't really speak Korean. I can understand maybe about 10%, 15%. If I really want to boast my skills, I would say 20%. But let's be honest here. I only took, I think, three classes when I was in college. And those are introductory classes, or just enough for me to get around, but not enough for me to be able to live there. So needless to say, I'm a little bit stressed. But the entire reason why I'm moving to Korea in 5 days is because, as I mentioned before, my significant other resides in South Korea, and we have been trying to find ways to reunite. And one of those choices was for me to work abroad. And an opportunity came along the way where I was offered a position to teach English at an academy in a satellite city near Seoul, which is the capital of Korea. Now, my college degree is nowhere related to education or teaching, but it was one of the options I had in order to allow me to work abroad. So I decided to give it a try, and I applied. And at the time, we were both residing near Chicago, and I had to drive back to Texas because my boyfriend was leaving to fly back to South Korea, and I was going back to stay with my parents until I figure out what is my next step. And I applied right before we left to go on the road trip, and I got an offer on the last day of my drive home. So I was in Austin, driving back to San Antonio. On the way, I got an email that offered me a position to teach in one of the cities. So that was in June. That was in mid-June. So starting in July, I started to prepare for different documents needed to apply for visa and also for this position as well. And since I had no teaching experience, we decided to sign up for a online TEFL course. TEFL is TEFL, which stands for Teaching English as a Foreign Language. And I barely qualified for this position, I suppose, because I was not born in the States. However, because I came here so young, they allow me to bypass that requirement where I have to be a native, which I'm very thankful, because if it hadn't been the case, I wouldn't be sitting here making this podcast or packing my luggage in the days to come for my move abroad. But anyways, starting in July, I started collecting different documents such as my diploma and then my criminal record, as well as other health statements. I think that was it. There were many documents that I had to prepare, except it took forever because they needed to be apostilled. They needed to be certified. And because of the pandemic, all the government offices are closed. And basically what I had to do is I had to mail in my documents and then wait for them to receive it, and then wait for them to verify it, and then wait for them to send it back to me. So instead of it being a perhaps 2 hours, 5 hours, or 2 days process, it took 2 months for each document to come through. And after I received it, I had to send it to the agency that hired me, and then that agency would send my documents to the school that they matched me with, and then my school would send it to the Korean government for it to be approved and returned to the school, and for the school to return to the agency, and for the agency to return to me. Because there are a lot of people involved, it just took forever to send through all the documents and have them returned back to me. I remember the first time I was really proactive in this case because I already know that everything was going to be delayed, so I wanted to complete everything as soon as possible, except for the criminal record because there is a 6-month expiration date for those documents. So they told me to wait until, I don't remember if it was July or August, to request for my criminal record check and then for me to start on everything else. But I live in the state of Texas, and for my diploma to be apostilled, I had to visit an office in downtown Austin. So where I live is not too far from Austin. It's only an hour and 30-ish minute drive depending on traffic. And I drove all the way over there, only to find a piece of paper on the door that says, because of the pandemic, we're not having any walk-ins. So you have to mail your documents to the office with a prepaid return envelope, and then they would send everything back to you. So I basically wasted a few hours of my day thinking that I could get it done that day. Ended up having to go to a post office in Austin to have my documents sent to Austin. So after I sent them, it took 2 weeks for them to return to me. And then I also had to get a digital fingerprint. I don't understand why I had to get my fingerprints, not just from any UPS or a police station. I had to drive all the way to Houston to get my fingerprint scanned. So I drove all the way to Houston, get my fingerprints, and then they sent my fingerprints to my agency, and then they're taking care of compiling everything I needed for my visa, right? And in the meantime, I'm waiting, July, August. Then came September. September was a crucial month because just because my agency matched me with a school, it doesn't mean that that school has a available position at the moment. Because of the pandemic, they had to cut a lot of teachers because students weren't coming back to school and they weren't generating revenue, so on and so forth. So by the end of September, if they couldn't find a position for me, then my placement process would be pushed to December and maybe even January or February, because January, February, I think what my recruiter told me was that it was the largest placement period because start of a school term. So I waited anxiously from August to September, but mostly the mid-September because the deadline was, I want to say, the second to last week in September, and I have heard nothing. I was waiting, and then I wanted to touch base with my recruiter just to see what's going on, and then she told me, yeah, because of the pandemic, everything has been really tight, so just hang on. If we don't find you anything, it's gonna be December. And by that time, I have been separated with my significant other for about July, August, September. Oh, now that I count it this way, it doesn't sound a lot. It's only 4 months. But it had felt like forever because I was trapped at home. I know it sounds very ungrateful, but I'm sure many of you would understand this aspect if you have gone to college and had to return to stay at home. It's very difficult to do so because in your parents' head, you are still a kid. And in some way, it seems like my opinion doesn't matter as long as I live under their roof. It's difficult for me to feel at home because my thoughts and my mindset has grew past where I was or how I was when I was still living in this house, when I was still in high school, right? My mind has expanded beyond maybe even my parents' standards. So the way I do things is not necessarily the way they do things, and then the way I consider things aren't the ways that they consider things, and then we always have these clashing of ideas and then lack of personal space. I could go on, but the point is I don't feel truly at home here because my home was somewhere else. So staying at home made everything felt like it was infinitely longer. However, by some sort of a miracle, I was placed just few days before my deadline to a satellite city. I didn't know what a satellite city is, and I had to look it up. Somewhere near Seoul. So I'm really, really grateful because Seoul is where I wanted to be, but Seoul is also where everyone else wanted to be. So, of course, the competition is really, really tough. And I looked up where I was supposed to be staying. And this city is only about an hour or so away from Seoul. So it seems like a understandable commute. Whereas if I had been placed somewhere near Busan, then that's a different kind of story. I would probably have to take the KTX, the Korean railway service, in order to get to Seoul if I ever want to visit. So I thought I had lucked out to be placed in somewhere that's not too close, not too far, kind of a developing city, and everything seems pretty nice and clean. So after they've offered me an official contract with the specific branch that I will be teaching, there were more documents to collect, of course, and this time is for my visa. I still had a few passport photos left over from my first application, and then I had to get my flu shot. I had to visit the Korean consulate in Houston to submit my application. And that took about a week and a half. It was a lot faster than I thought. And immediately after that, I received my branch manager's contact information. I also had an opportunity to talk to an HR person. I think he might be an HR person for the main branch, but it seems like everyone who applies will funnel through him and receive these general information, and then I would contact the branch manager myself to know more details about where I will be working. And that was what happened. So I asked him a lot of questions about how schools are coping with COVID and how the teaching situation is. And currently, as we're speaking, Korea has a mandatory 14 days quarantine period immediately after you land. So I was concerned about where I would be staying. Do I need to schedule an Airbnb or somewhere to stay ahead of time? How will we conduct training? And when do I start teaching? All that kind of question. And he told me that luckily the school had paid for a place for me to stay during quarantine, and then eventually I would be transported to where I would be staying permanently for my contract period, and trainings will be conducted through Zoom, which was a really big peace of mind because, okay, the thing is, training is not paid, and I don't receive my first paycheck until 1 month after I've started teaching. This school wanted me to start teaching November 30th, which means until December 30th, I won't receive a paycheck. So from now, I have to take care of myself in November as well as December. And I've saved up about $1,000-ish, $2,000 to spend in case of any emergency and any other fees that I have to pay when I'm applying for different things such as bank account or phone plans or my alien registration card. And if I had to pay a 14 days stay somewhere, I wasn't sure if I had enough money in my hand that will be enough to cover my living expenses from November to December. I just wanted to be extra careful to leave a very thick cushion in case if anything happens. I overthink a lot. So in case if any situation happens, I want to be able to make sure that I land on both feet. There's nothing wrong with that, right? I think I did the calculations for just in case if I really had to pay for a 14 days stay, I would probably barely have $1,000, which still sounds like a lot of money. And I think I would be able to get by 2 months with $1,000. Just that you never know what's going to happen. And what if I get robbed? What if I lost my money? What if I lost my passport? So just wanted to be careful with myself and my spending for the time being. So I went to the Korean consulate, I submitted my visa application, and I just received my passport, I want to say 2 days ago. And I thought it was going to be one of the sticker in just one blank page in my passport, because that's what my Chinese visa looked like. We had a long-term visa. I think it was M, type M. M stands for many. So I could travel back and forth to China for many times because I still have families there. And for the Korean visa, it was a piece of paper. I thought it was going to be a sticker, but it ended up being a piece of paper. So I have to make copies of that just in case I lose it. See, I'm just paranoid about everything. And now that I have all my documents ready, it's time for me to book my flight. I thought that because of the pandemic, flight prices would be cheaper. Boy, I was wrong. It was kind of the same, just slightly cheaper, and I ended up somewhere between 800 and 900 for a one-way ticket. I've always purchased round-trip tickets, so buying a one-way ticket felt very adventurous and gave me a little bit of adrenaline, and I was excited. And I also bought travel insurance just in case, because I don't know how traveling with COVID is like, and what if I lose my luggage? If I lose the stuff that I have inside, at least I would like to be compensated somewhat. Now that everything is taken care of, I just have to worry about packing my stuff and leaving on time so I don't miss my flight. And also quitting my job. I was doing part-time at a place, which I would talk about in the next podcast. So I was doing part-time. It's more like a part-time / full-time, because I work around 35 hours a week, and 25 is what part-time and 40 is full-time. So I'm right in the middle of the sweet spots. So I've been part-timing there since I moved back with my parents, and I had to put in my 2 weeks. It's always hard for me to say goodbye. So I was thinking about doing the Irish exit. I didn't end up doing so. I said my goodbyes at work today. Today's actually my last day of work. And we've decided to have a last gathering next Tuesday, 3 days before I leave. 2 days before I leave. 3 days before I leave. I'm sorry, math is not really kicking it at 5 a.m. in the morning. We decided to do just a last going away dinner thing at a place called Chicken and Pickle. It's where you play pickleball. I didn't know what pickleball is. I had to look it up. And it seems like a hybrid between tennis and ping pong. So imagine if they had a love child, you'll be playing ping pong on a life-size court. And Chicken and Pickle is a place where you play pickleball and eat chicken. They have chicken salads, fried chicken, chicken burger, that kind of stuff. And we decided to, let's have some fun one last time. At first, I felt reluctant to do so because I have been very careful with where I have been, because I don't want to contract COVID right before I leave, which is a very bad idea. And I'm just trying to be careful. As you can probably tell from me making multiple copies of my documents and buying freaking travel insurance. But at the end, I decided, you know what, as long as we're being safe. And the person who made the reservation told me that we would be in an isolated area, because it's not just a few of us. It's going to be like, 6? 7? I can't tell anymore because I no longer know who else she's inviting. At first, I wanted to keep it like a small thing, but then the person making the reservation, she said, we don't want to make anyone feel left out. So I'm just going to invite a couple more. And I'm like, okay. People have been asking me, hey, you're moving abroad. How are you feeling? Aren't you excited? And I feel like my current state of mind is very blank, and I feel stressed more than excited, which should be the opposite, because moving abroad could be a very exciting thing. But I just had this fear of moving to a new place. Usually that would not be my reaction, except this time I'm moving to somewhere where I don't really speak the language, so I am truly an alien there. And the things that have been driving my fears are just the thought of working in a new field. I am a science major. I've worked in retail, I've worked in food like part-time, and I've volunteered at hospitals, but I've never had a teaching position before. My only experience is from the TEFL online course that I'm taking, which I still have to write an essay for, so I have to squeeze that in, and I have to complete it before I leave. So I really have to get on top of that. But I've never taught before, so that's a new field for me. I don't really have any experience, so the lack of experience makes me feel anxious, because I always like to be prepared for this kind of stuff. And you should be prepared for anything that you want to pursue. And the second thing is new environment. Even though I am from an Asian country originally, I was born in China, Korea still has a very different culture than China. Even though we might have some that overlaps, I still have to learn to fit into my new environment, to fit into my new culture, to act appropriately, and so on and so forth. One of the most obvious thing is that I don't speak Korean. I understand some, but I don't speak Korean. And language is going to be a barrier when you're trying to stay at a place. At least I want to, personally, in my opinion, I want to be able to learn Korean because, for one, my boyfriend is Korean. For two, I have an interest in the culture. I like the food, and then I like Mamamoo. I like their music. Not really the mainstream one, but Korean indie I love. There's a band called Wave to Earth. I found them by accident one day, and I have been repeating ever since. And one of their songs called Seasons is my all-time favorite. And whenever I have insomnia, I would repeat that song until I fall asleep. Anyways, going back to my topic, I want to be able to know Korean. I want to be able to learn it. Maybe not as a native because that would take time, but definitely to be able to communicate with others and be able to understand what they're saying. I have met and known some people who have lived in Korea for quite a few years and doesn't speak like a lick of Korean. I don't know how they survived all those years. I think it's because they had friends who spoke Korean, but I didn't want to be someone like that. I want to be able to acquire a new language. So living in an environment with a new language stressed me out a little bit. Although I am excited, but I just know that I will be frustrated at some point because that's how I felt when I came to the States, when I didn't speak any English. And when I went to school, I felt really frustrated because I wouldn't understand what's going on the board. And even though I had a small translator with me where I would type words and understand what they meant in Chinese, it was hard for me to keep up in the beginning because if I type in each word, it would take forever. But thankfully, I was at an age where I was learning, so it was easy for me to pick up a language because I was surrounded by it. So I'm hoping because I will be moving to Korea, everyone around me is going to speak Korean. No one's really going to speak English. It would force me to learn, even though I'm no longer in my teens anymore. Another big thing that I am worried about may sound silly, but is the fact that humiliation from my peers and most importantly from my work environment. One, because I'm not a teacher, I am very, very new at this, so at times I probably won't know what I'm doing. Hopefully this will be a different case after I go through my training. But I was afraid that my peers who have been teaching there for quite a few years would kind of look at me and say, dang, she really don't know what she's doing. And I don't want to be that person. I would try my hardest to be able to fulfill this role, but the thought of being humiliated by veteran teacher and peers who have been doing this for quite a few years and know what they're doing, and just being in the new working environment in general. Like, I'm not a teacher. Like, I don't know how kids think. I don't know how I should react to certain situations yet. Having that possibility frightens me a little. And another thing is a Korean work culture is very, very, very different than the one we have in the States. So I don't want to offend anyone, and I will have to learn about this new work culture, which at times could be more stressful. Okay, maybe not at times. Maybe it's just gonna be more stressful than the American working culture, where depending on what industry you're in, is relatively more laid back, because the job market, the competition is so intense in Asia. I can't speak for Korea because I didn't research about it. I don't really know from firsthand experience, but being born in China and having friends and family friends who has a job and have been working, I know more about the Chinese working culture, and I could guesstimate that the Korean work culture is very similar. I think it would take time for me to adjust to that rhythm, and just thinking about it stressed me out a little bit as well. I don't want to have high expectation of what my work life would be in Korea, because truth be told, I don't know, or I won't know what it's like working in Korea until I've worked there. So I don't want to have any high expectations to have the life that I see on YouTube. Like working in Korea as an English teacher, I travel on weekends and I visit these places and da 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 da. I want to have the lowest expectation possible so that I would be genuinely surprised by the outcome if they turn out to be better than I had imagined. I'm pretty sure I will be working at least one day out of the weekends, and I don't know exactly what my class schedule is because that depends on what students are signed up to enroll and also what the age group that they are. Initially, they told me that I was going to be teaching kids around the age of 12, 13, but then I received a pre-training for kids in kindy. So which is which? Like, which one is it? So I mentally prepare to teach either. Some days I hope that I'm teaching older kids because we can have a little bit more complex conversations. But then some days I just want to think that maybe I'll just teach the kids and that everything would be just like sunshine and rainbow. It would be super easy, super chill. After work, I would still have time to explore Korea and do things that I want to do. But once again, I'm keeping my expectations low so that I won't be disappointed and add on to the stress that I'm already piling up from moving abroad. So yeah, I don't really have high expectation from my work. I hope I can adjust to the new environment pretty quickly and develop a new lifestyle. One thing I don't want to give up is working out, because working out helped me regain my confidence in a sense, and also establishing a routine, because workout generally takes about an hour for me, so I would have to schedule my days ahead of time and then blocks in order for me to be able to have that wiggle room to fit in a workout somewhere. Another worry that I have, I think, is just the very general sense of fear for uncertainties, because I don't know what I'm getting myself into. I don't quite feel like I have a hold of the situation. But I think this is where my significant other would come in and reinforce that we're there for each other. Because moving abroad and working abroad should be a very exciting opportunity. You know, not everyone could do that very easily without having to worry about many other things. And thankfully, I don't really have any other worries. Anything else dependent on me other than my student loan, which with my calculation, I will be able to afford with my, I was about to say pension, with my salary with this teaching job. If not, I wouldn't even be making this decision to work abroad. So I should be excited about this opportunity, and I should embrace the possibility that there is to come. However, I've just been feeling pretty stressed lately, thinking about all these things that I just told you, which now after talking about it, I don't feel so bad anymore. There is a beginning to everything, and all beginnings are scary. It's like first day of class, regardless if you're in elementary school, regardless if you're in middle school, high school, or college. It's always going to be scary. It's always going to feel a little bit intimidating. But at the end of the day, this is a unique opportunity. So I should hold on tight and see what I can make out of it. I'm a very optimistic person. I have a very optimistic personality. I tend to be positive, and I should be positive in this situation as well. And plus, I'll be in Korea, so I no longer have to stress about freaking buying a PC to purchase ticket to Mamamoo concert and then having to return that PC the next day, booking my flights to Korea, booking my hotels in Korea just to see one concert. Now, I could just take a bus or take a subway to go to Seoul and watch the concert, eat, and come back all on the same day without spending 1K. That's the glow up I'm talking about. But yeah, I've been slowly trying to get everything together. I'm still leaving my electronics unpacked, such as my mic, my filter, my audio interface, but hopefully I will have enough room. I think I've decided on what clothes I want to bring to Korea, so I split them into 2 different luggages, and right now they already take up half of the luggage, so I have to try to fit all the other things that I need in there, like my hygiene products, cameras, my mugs. Recently, Starbucks launched their holiday drinks and cups. I saw this one red cup. Instead of calling it a cup, it's more like a bowl, a soup bowl, a cereal bowl. I really liked it. It reminded me of a sugar cane. Sugar cane? Is it called sugar cane? Candy cane. I'm so sorry. It reminded me of a candy cane because it was a red bowl with white sprinkles. No, instead of saying it's a sprinkle, what is it? It has a snowy effect on it, which I really liked. So I decided to get it. So I will be bringing a soup bowl, a mug, an Austin mug. It's the Since You've Been Here? Since You've Been Here? Or Where Have You Been? It's one of those city mugs from Starbucks, and Austin's a very special place for me, for us. That's why I'm bringing it. And I'm also bringing a Yeti. 2 cold cups, and then maybe like a color changing cup. See, I feel like I'm bringing a lot of unnecessary things, but at the end of the day, I'm like, wait, I can use the cereal bowl as my bowl. Like if I don't have a bowl in the place that I'm staying, I could use this to freaking eat rice and cereal. It's multifunctional. So I thought that it's a great idea to bring it. Back to what I was saying. So I have all these other stuff to pack, and last night, actually a few hours ago, because I kind of passed out after dinner, we had our very, very, very early Thanksgiving dinner / going away feast for me, because I won't be here for Thanksgiving, and sadly not Christmas as well. And we wanted to have a going away dinner for me. So they asked what I wanted to eat, and then we cooked it Thanksgiving style. I told them I wanted to try brisket because every single year we would eat steak. Time to try something new. And I said, why not brisket? So we bought a freaking, I don't know how many pounds it was, but it was really, really heavy. And it cost a lot of money. So I hope it was fairly heavy. We bought this one giant pack of just brisket from Costco. And my dad slow cooked it? No, broiled it for 4.5 hours. So yeah, that's what I ate today. And tomorrow I'm picking up an order at Zara. I ordered perfume from Zara because I thought, time to be professional and smell like an adult. So I have to pick up my perfume tomorrow. Or no, today. Today is Sunday. You woke up super early today. And on Monday, I will be taking just an extra set or 2 of passport photos that I would need for any documents I need to fill out abroad, and also for my alien registration card, which is something I have to take care of immediately right after I land and out of quarantine, of course. Oh yeah, another thing I forgot to mention. What was also stressing me out was creating a bank account and signing up for a phone plan in Korea, because I heard setting up a bank account or just banking in general is quite confusing in Korea. And I don't know about phone plans. I think phone plans are relatively easier, but those things are only achievable until I have my alien registration card. So feeling kind of stressed about that. Just want to be able to make sure that I have it done on time so that I can pay my student loan on time in January, because I delayed a few months since I'm going to be gone. Just in case if I need any extra cash before I actually get paid, I pushed it back so I can worry about it later. And on Tuesday, I have a last gathering with my coworkers. And then on Wednesday, I don't really have anything planned. And then Thursday, probably just double checking everything, make sure I have everything that I need. And on Friday, super early in the morning, I will be taking off to South Korea. Now that I count my days, it feels very short and everything is happening all so fast. But I think it will hit me all at once when I'm finally settled in the apartment that I will be quarantining for 14 days and then sitting alone in an empty room with my 2 luggages and my backpack and just thinking, dang, I'm in Korea now. Is this even real? Whenever I travel abroad to Asia, it feels like as if I had a very long dream. It's like I slept super well, and then boom, I woke up in my hometown, and then I sleep again, and boom, I'm back in America. It's a very peculiar thing. I'm excited to see what my new chapter will look like, and I will do my best and perform to the best of my ability to make my time worth it. And even though I will be a rookie teacher, I will try my hardest to make sure that I can give my students everything I have, because at the end of the day, even if some people see this as just like in college, we would take classes called blow-off class. Is it called blow-off class? Where you just kind of take it so you can get a good grade. Instead of thinking this job as just some random careless job that I can get paid and get to stay at Korea at the same time. If I'm gonna be a teacher, I want to make sure that my kids, my students, get the best out of me. Like I could teach them everything that I have to give, because putting money aside, right? They're not just investing money in me or in this facility. They're investing their child's precious learning peak to hopefully obtain something that would be very helpful to them in the future. Since English is the universal language? It would just give them a lot of leverage and benefits in the future if they understand how to think or speak or write in English. It would give them more opportunities as an adult to find jobs abroad, like me. Life is a circle. 2020 is a full circle, and it's about to come to an end. So hopefully 2021 will be better. So yeah, thank you for sitting through another episode of Lactose Intolerant. This is going to be the 9th episode, and see, we've already gone through so many different stages of my life in such a short period of time. We've been through a lot together, if you have been listening from the beginning. Thank you once again for being here, and I will see you next week, hopefully in Korea.